You're welcome, great leader. While we are talking about conflict, it's also important we are able to understand the nature of conflict, because that is very, very critical. It's important, for instance, to know that in every conflict there is emotions at work, there is logic at work, and there should as well be empathy at work. Emotions, in every conflict, emotion allows us, when we begin to x-ray the emotional aspect in every conflict, it allows us to see the need in that conflict. It helps us to see the need, what needs to be changed because we see it from the individuals and the individual players in the conflict. So emotions helps us to see the need in that conflict. The logic also helps us to identify the root cause of the conflict. When we are logically able to identify the root cause of the conflict, it will help us to know how to navigate it. And again, empathy helps us to know how people are being affected by the conflict. And this will also help us to know how to channel our intervention to eliminate or resolve that conflict. And so it's important we look at conflict from a perspective of transformational beings, not just as though we want to advance the conflict further, to take undue advantage. We want to see the conflict and look at the conflict from a transformational perspective, because once there is conflict, it means emotions are involved and people may be bound to speak ill of others. They may be bound to express emotions, speak louder, talk louder, shout louder, expressing unnecessary emotions within the system. But when we are able to understand the issues in that conflict, it helps us. And so most times it's important, when we see conflicts, we step back a bit. You don't approach fire as though you are in a hurry. You learn to step back a bit. Take deep breath and step back. And that helps you to realign yourself, your emotions, your logic, and yourself as a being, so that you can approach it in a way that is transformational. And that is very, very important. And because you want to approach it in a way that is transformational, you will have to decide to be vulnerable. Being vulnerable is critical in attending to conflicts, because it's not an opportunity to establish how great a human you are or how powerful you are. It's rather an opportunity for you to let people know your vulnerability, and so you can win people's perspective over. And that's very critical. Attending to it also is a point, is a matter of it's a moment where you will establish the matter of accountability, because it's important. When we are accountable in issues that relate to conflict, it establishes trust and makes everyone see reason why we are all co-partners in the establishment of peace. So accountability will be very, very critical. And we are also looking at it from a realistic perspective. And everybody will really have to be realistic, and we have to approach it from realistic perspective to ensure that we really attend to the conflict in a way that is necessary. Mind you, every conflict is usually about the individuals, not necessarily about the organization. Most times when you see a conflict where people raise their voice, check it very well, it is about the individual, because the issues in a conflict are majorly issues about individuals, about persons and personal relationships, not necessarily the organization. And so it's important we understand that when we are dealing with it, what we're dealing with in a conflict, it's about persons and relationships. That's exactly what we are dealing with. We are dealing with the issues where people find values, issues where people find importance and significance. So if you don't find significance and importance in certain issues, conflict will ensue. But all of us cannot find importance in the same issue. And that's why we have various values. And so it's important we understand that in a dealing and attending and understanding the nature of conflict, we should be able to regulate emotions, regulate logic, and regulate empathy so we can attend to it. And we should also be able to lean backwards, take a deep breath, and be vulnerable in attending to it, and be realistic and as well be accountable. But when we short being realistic or being accountable or being vulnerable, conflict will persist, and it's important. Thank you. I want to stop there. We can discuss that later.